And welcome back on Full Range Sports. As you can see, Loogootee Lady Lions are cutting down the nets at the regional in Springs Valley. They defeat the Lady Braves of Tecumseh, 55-38 the final. And I will tell you right now, the better team on the floor tonight was Loogootee, right, Jack?
Well, they sure did outplay Tecumseh. Tecumseh came in with some pretty high hopes, but those dashed. They just couldn't quite get enough solid possessions and score. They kept turning the ball over, and when they didn't hit shots, Loogootee had a lot of rebounding power, and Loogootee slowed this game down with their deliberate style. Earlier today,
I felt it was that
Tecumseh,
way kind of in the fourth quarter.
Earlier today, Tecumseh scored in the 60s, and tonight they score 38. So quite a different style of play, and Tecumseh maybe needed the faster pace, but couldn't quite get that to happen tonight. And again, they played a game earlier today that I'm pretty convinced had to take quite a bit out of them, because it was full court press for the whole game and full court press both ways. So not only were they expending a lot of energy trying to stop the other team in the backcourt, they were also having to spend a lot of energy trying to get the ball across the timeline. And 63-60, it was nip and tuck, and a lot of energy expended by the Lady Braves, and that may have had something to do with what happened tonight. But that Loogootee defense was very sticky and didn't allow a lot of good looks and good opportunities for Tecumseh. So Loogootee, I think you make a good case that the better team tonight won and will advance. It's always sad when a team loses and that's it for the season, but that's the way these things work.
Wow.
And so it'll be Loogootee advancing to the regional, and Tecumseh packing their bags and going home.
Well, Loogootee will be taking on Greenwood Christian next week, as Greenwood Christian defeated Southwestern of Shelby at the Southwestern of Shelby Regional. That was a close one, 49-42 the final up there, thanks to Tyson Conradi with Giant 96 out of Shelbyville getting that information to us. So I want to say thanks to Tyson for that, as we now know who Loogootee will be playing next Saturday. We don't know where they're playing yet, but I will tell you, follow at IHSAA1 on Twitter. That information will come out, and we'll do our best to catch it on Twitter and tweet it out as well when the IHSAA puts it out. Scoring-wise, Jack, what do you have tonight?
Well, here are our totals. First of all, for the Tecumseh Lady Braves, Kinsley Heichelbach had 2 points on 1 field goal. Allison Riley, a substitute late in the game, had 1 point on 1 for 2 from the line. 8 points for Jenna Donahue. She had a couple of 2-pointers. And then 4 free throws, 4 for 6 from the line. Lily Sullivan, 1 for 1 from the 2-point line, and that was the extent of her 2-point line, 2-point area. That was the extent of her scoring. Carson Flowers, 5 points on 1 2-pointer and 1 3-pointer, no free throw attempts. And then we go down to Cabry Oxley, their A player, had 15 points, 12 of those coming on 2-point field goals and then a 3-pointer. And hold on, I'm losing my line of sight here. Morgan Wilson had 5 points on a 2-pointer and a 3-pointer. 38 points for the Tecumseh Lady Braves. For the Loogootee Lady Lions, scoring went something like this. Kalia Fleming, 12 points, 6 out of 6 from the free throw line, and 2 3-pointers. Isabel Wagner, 14 points. She was 7 of 8 from the free throw line, and she had a couple of 2-pointers and a 3-pointer. Dropping down to Brooklyn Jones, 6 points on 2 2-point field goals, 16 points for Kylie Van Hoy. She had 6 2-pointers and 4 free throws for her 16. Mackenzie Van Hoy, 7 points on a couple of 3-pointers and 1 for 2 from the free throw line. And that was the extent of the scoring. Here's something I find pretty interesting in that Loogootee from the free throw line was 18 for 21. That's an 85.7% free throw shooting. Meanwhile, Tecumseh, only 12 attempts. They hit 8 for about a 67% percentage, which all things considered ain't too bad, but 8 free throws compared to 18. Obviously, it was Loogootee that had a strong upper hand at the free throw line. Overall shooting, have field goal percentage for Loogootee, 16 of 32 for 50%, and Tecumseh 14 of 30 for 46.7. So actually the number of field goal attempts appears to be about the same, and 16 made field goals for Loogootee and 14 for Tecumseh. But Loogootee had 5 3-pointers compared to 2 for Tecumseh, and then that huge free throw advantage, just too much for the Tecumseh Braves.
Well, I think in this game, what it came down to is the amount of people that can get you at any given time with Loogootee. We saw this last week where Brooklyn Jones stepped up big, averaging double figures in that sectional at home on the home floor. And at that point, Mackenzie Van Hoy was kind of struggling a little bit last week. Mackenzie Van Hoy had a huge game this morning, 18 points, 6 3-pointers. She had some key threes early on in this one in the championship tonight. Kylie Van Hoy had another big game this evening. Isabel Wagner, when she's not in foul trouble, she hits double figures. She had 14. And Fleming had 12 in this one. Fleming had a tough time shooting this morning, but you can get hit at any given time by any player with this Loogootee team.
Well, three of the Lady Lions were in double figures, and the other 2 scores were above 5 each. So as you say, lots of people who can hurt you and hurt you pretty badly. Meanwhile, for Tecumseh, only one person in double figures, Cabry Oxley, with 15, but then it drops down to Jenna Donahue with 8 and 5 for Morgan Wilson. So not as many people to try to carry the load for the Tecumseh Braves, and I keep going back in my mind to the ball handling ability of Loogootee. They just did a really nice job of slowing the game down and making it a half-court game and not rushing anything. And they were very patient about trying to get those three-point attempts, taking the ball around the perimeter, trying to get those three-point attempts. Didn't really attack the paint in a heavy way, and that's their game.
Well, as mentioned, Greenwood Christian next week. We don't know when. We don't know where. We just know it's Saturday next week. It's the only thing we know, and we know it's Greenwood Christian. So I don't know if it's us producing it even, because IHSA will sign that out next week at some point. And I would tell you, it's been a pleasure following Loogootee on throughout the tournament and following all these teams in 1A that we have covered this winter throughout the IHSA tournament. So, Jack, I want to say thank you for your work this evening.
May I throw in one other
Go
stat
ahead.
that I just now caught my attention?
Okay.
Loogootee from the three-point line. Now, my stats are very unofficial, but I have them for 5 of 6 from the three-point line. And Loogootee actually shot 3 more threes. The Lady Braves shot 3 more threes than the Lady Lions. They shot 9, but only connected on 2. So that three-point accuracy, I think, was another factor that put it over the top for Loogootee. And Mr. Fuller, I appreciate being invited to come here and watch some basketball live and work on these stats in my old school way. And it's been a lot of fun to come back over to Springs Valley and see this beautiful court that Springs Valley has laid down in a gym that has a lot of history, what with the Larry Bird era, and not just that, but lots of Springs Valley teams over the years.
Thanks to you for your work, Jack. Keith Schreier, our photographer, our video photographer this evening here at Springs Valley. He did a lot of the work last week at Loogootee. We also want to say thanks to Megan Foster for her work last week. Jonathan LeBlond with LeBlond Group, our parent company at Full Range Sports, his work doing some things as well. And I want to say thanks to all of our crews, wherever they are, hopefully are hanging in. And until next week, I'm Dustin Fuller for Jack Hinkle, Keith Schreier, and our entire Full Range Sports crew. So long from Springs Valley.